Welcome to lesson 2 of the Start an Epic Freelance Business Master Course. Josh Hoffman back with you. And in this lesson, we are going to talk about how to start a freelance business while working another job. And so the most important thing to think about as you work another job and want to start a freelance business is why you really want to start a freelance business. Because what most people tend to get caught up in is the what and the how. It's what the freelance business is going to be about and how you're actually going to execute your idea. Whereas when you start with the why and you really figure out what is my main motivation, why do I want to start freelancing, then the how and the what become a lot clearer. And so when we talk about the why, we're looking at a few different scenarios of why most people who are currently working another job but want to start freelancing, why these people want to start freelancing. And so the first of three main scenarios is that you want to make some extra money on the side, but you're going to keep your part-time or full-time job. That's okay. That's perfectly okay. If that's the reason why you want to start freelancing, again, to make some extra money on the side. All right, the second possible scenario in terms of big picture stuff is that you want to freelance on the side until you have enough clients and income to go full-time freelance. At that point, you're going to quit your part-time or full-time job because now you can be a full-time freelancer since you have enough clients and enough income to support the lifestyle that you want to live. All right, so again, second scenario, you start freelancing on the side, but your goal is to become a full-time freelancer. And then the third scenario, which is actually the scenario that I took when I started freelancing, is right off the bat, you don't have another job and you start freelancing full time. This is a bit harder to do because you don't have as much income. In my situation, I was a bit younger when I started. I was 23, so I had the luxury and the privilege of living with my mother, which means I had very minimal expenses at that time when I was starting my freelance business. So I was able to quote unquote start full time, even though I wasn't making enough money in terms of a full-time job at the beginning. But if you have that luxury where maybe you have money saved up or you can minimize your expenses by shacking up with your family, certainly you can start freelancing full time and build your business by getting enough clients and earning enough income over time that you can actually support yourself on a full-time freelance business. So those are the three main whys in terms of why freelancers want to freelance. It's your job before you figure out what your services are going to be and how you're actually going to execute your freelance business. It is your job to figure out your end game. Why do you want to start freelancing? And so the key thing here is once you figured out your why, now we talk about the how. Your services. What are you going to do to make money? How are you going to make money? And as I talked about in the first lesson, lack of self-awareness is one of the three main reasons why most freelancers do not succeed, why they fail. And when I say do not succeed and when I say fail, I don't mean that they go crash and burn. I just mean that they don't realize their ultimate potential as a freelancer. And so in order to realize your ultimate potential as a freelancer, you want to do a self-awareness inventory. So that again is your strengths, the things that you're good at, your weaknesses, the things that you're not very good at, your passions, the things that you enjoy, your pains, the things that bring you headaches that you don't enjoy, that are tedious or annoying, and your values, the things that matter to you. And once you've done a self-awareness inventory, which by the way relies on you to be as honest and forthcoming with yourself as possible, then you want to rid yourself of your weaknesses and of your pains. A lot of people will tell you, deal with the pains, it's part of the job, or just try to improve upon your weaknesses so you can be good across the board. What has worked for me and what I advise all freelancers to do is to put your weaknesses and your pains to the side and don't worry about them, and only focus on your strengths, the things that you're good at, your passions, the things you enjoy, and your value system, the things that matter to you. And when you can create that great combination of those three things, again, strengths, passions, and values, that's where you're going to be able to realize the services that you can provide at the price that you want to make and the money that you want to make as a freelancer. All right, so now you kind of know what your services are going to be. You've done your self-awareness inventory. You've kind of figured out, all right, this is where I want to start. The next step is to start with what's called an MVP, a minimum viable product. And that's a product, or in this case, your service or your set of services that you develop with minimal features to satisfy what are known as in the tech world as early adopters, but really those are your first few clients. So again, your services that have minimal features to satisfy your first few clients. Okay? The reason you want to do that is because you want to show proof of concept that your core services, those first few services that you come up with after your self-awareness inventory, you want to show that they can actually be sold at the price that you want to sell them as a freelancer. Because if you start creating all these extra services on the side and this, that, and the other, and the bells and the whistles, that's where you're going to get in trouble, because you're spending so much time and even money potentially figuring out all these different services and this, that, and the other. Whereas if you just start with those first core services, minimal features, right? Just a few services, maybe one, maybe two, maybe three at the most. Sell those effectively at the price that you want to sell them at to your first few clients. Then you can add complementary and new services in the future. But don't waste all your time and money up front on coming up with all these grand schemes. Just start with something basic and simple. And so the way I look at that is kind of like a donut, right? If you want to open a donut shop, all right, you can create one really good donut, a basic but good donut, sell that the first few times, and then you can get to be a little bit more fancy and have some more flavors and this, that, and the other, the bells and the whistles with different types of donuts. Same thing with your services. Start with a basic service, sell that a few times at the price that you want to sell it at, and then start to add different features and different other services and different ways of maybe providing the same service to your clients. Start small, show proof of concept, and then build from there. After you've done that, the next steps to actually getting your freelance business off the ground is to keep your job if you have one. Do not quit your job, because again, you have to show proof of concept with your MVP. So keep your job, build your MVP, and test your ideas out. Do not assume that you think you know what's going to happen with the start of your freelance business. You don't know who your clients are going to be. You don't know how you're going to be able to sell your services, at what price you're going to be able to sell your services. So do not assume anything. Go in, test out your ideas, and then see what's working and see what's not. The things that are working, build upon, and the things that are not working, get rid of. All right, second thing, you want to learn enough to help people who want help and are willing to pay. Okay? A lot of freelancers think that they have to be an expert in order to start a freelance business. And as I talked about in the first lesson, that is not the case. Don't call yourself an expert because you don't want to pretend to be an expert. But at the same time, you don't need to be an expert to help clients with whatever their pain points are. So understand that you just need to know enough. Once you know enough, you can start building that MVP, and then you learn as you go. As we talked about in the first lesson, product development, constantly getting better at honing your craft. So learn enough to start and build from there. And then you want to make sure that you're attracting clients that are willing to pay you money. You do not want to work for free. I'll say that one more time. You do not want to work for free or even on a barter system. You want to make that a transaction where you're giving your time and your services in exchange for money. You don't have to be making a lot of money at first. You can charge, even minimum wage if you want, or maybe a little bit more than that. But you want to get into the habit of trading your time and services for people's money. They have to invest in you according to the results that you can produce for them. So make sure that the people that you want to work with at first, the clients that you want to work with at first, are absolutely willing to pay you for your time and your services. And finally, make your services about other people and the problems they face. We talked about it a little bit in the first lesson of understanding your means and the client's end. Your means are the services. They do not care about your services. They care about what results your services can build for them, can produce for them. So make your services about them by talking about the problems that they face. Again, clients care about two things: how you're going to help them make more money or how you're going to help them save more money. You have to steer the conversation every time you talk about your services in one of those two directions. Here's how my services are going to help you make more money, or here's how I'm going to help you save more money, or ideally a combination of both. But make it about them and their business and their problems and the things that they want to accomplish, and less about you. Alrighty, in the next lesson we will talk about all the business principles that every freelancer should know. So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you then.